everybody? It's DJ NV, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. It's time for some front page news. Good morning, Tesla and Figaro. How you feeling?
I am feeling wonderful. Good morning to everybody.
Now, we got to shout out to our people in L.A. They say a rare tornado hit Los Angeles yesterday. They said it was the strongest one to hit the county since 1983.
Wow.
You know, climate change is real, sir. They say it's been raining in L.A. for weeks, too.
Yeah, they said 17 buildings were damaged. They said 11 fire departments, 11 fire department personnel have been injured, and one regular, I guess, civilian was injured yesterday. So, thank God nobody died. So that's a great thing. But a tornado in L.A., doesn't that just sound crazy?
Not in this era of climate change.
All right, well, let's get to some more news now. What am I seeing that black people are quiet quitters? What is that about?
Yes, quiet quitters. Speaking of California, one California congressman actually wants to make the 4-day work week a federal law. And I know you guys have been talking about, 4-day work week. We talked about it earlier this week with Jason. And so I wanted to just bring you some data to support that. So again, a California congressman is actually trying to make it a 4-day work week. And this week, Black Enterprise published a story about how new research shows that 63% of Black employees don't believe that hard work will help them get ahead in today's workplace. And so they do something called quietly quit their job. Now, the quiet quitting concept does not mean that someone actually leaves their job, but it refers to a person that only does the bare minimum. It also may indicate that the worker is unhappy with their current position and is prepared to make a job change. Now, the study pointed out that Black employees have had to work twice as hard to get half as far, which leads to more stress, burnout, and ultimately leads to quiet quitting. Now, the study found that employees who talk on their cell phones a lot, watch TV at work are signs of quiet quitters. And on Monday, I remember Charlamagne pointed out how everyone needed a break. And Jason was talking about, the guest host for the week, was talking about just find a job that you love. So I thought it was also interesting that this study found that 28% of Black workers would rather take a pay cut of $20,000 if they could be guaranteed happiness at work. So until you find yourself in a better situation, I wanted to give you 5 quick tips. This came from 37 ways to stay happy on your job, but I want to give you 5 quickly. Number 1, spend your commute thinking of 3 good things that happened today, and obviously listen to the Breakfast Club because your mornings will never be the same. 2, remember your value. 3, make the most out of your weekend. And 4, make sure you communicate with your manager, such as talk to them about possibly getting a flexible schedule. And 5, last but not least, get a new job.
You know what? That's all great advice and great tips. But I also want to add that, even if you have a job that you love or you have businesses that you own that you love, you still need a break, people. Like, like they say, oh, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. It's still work. You still need a disconnect, for your own mental and emotional well-being every now and then. So, even that is not all the way accurate when people say that.
And there's a lot of public policy that's going around the country that is really pushing this 4-day work week. So it is not just a conversation. It is actually real policy that could happen. So as usual, I encourage people to get involved on your local and state government. That's where you see the most change in your life.
Absolutely.
Word.
Now let's talk about this car crash. What happened with this car crash?
Yeah, again, speaking of local government, I wanted to talk about this story where 3 people are dead after the driver of a Lexus SUV ran from a traffic stop and slammed into a Honda serving as a rideshare Lyft at a high speed chase outside of Washington, D.C. last week. Now, the accident resulted in 3 dead and 2 hurt, but it turns out that the Lexus driver received 43 speeding tickets and 1 for running a red light in 10 months, racking $12,000 in fine, racking up $12,000 in fine. So let me say that again to be clear: 43 speeding tickets and 1 for running a red light in 10 months. Now, you may say, well, how did he get all of these speeding tickets and how did he get away with this? It is because Washington, D.C. speed cameras, they're great at generating revenue. In fact, it generated $87 million in revenue the past fiscal year. But because the traffic cameras do not capture faces and only license plates, the penalties are levied on the actual car and not the driver. Statistics show that deaths in the U.S., road deaths in the U.S. has hit an all-time high in 2021, while other developed countries are much lower. So this is just another example, guys, again, on the local level, the local and state level, they're generating a lot of money from these cameras, but it is not necessarily keeping people safe.
All right. Well, thank you, Teslin Figueroa. And, you know, it's a tough one because, like you said, if my wife drives my car or my daughters drive my car, the ticket goes to the car, not me personally, which I do think is fair because you never know who's driving the cars. But if somebody's getting that many tickets, they should definitely be suspending that license, that registration of that car or something.
Absolutely.
I thought they used to do that. I thought they used to take points off your. Didn't you have a certain amount of points you couldn't lose before they take your license?
Yeah, but the problem is, like she's saying, they're ticketing the car, not the person, because it's like if you drive my car and you speed, it takes a picture of that car. I don't know. I could say I wasn't driving. You was driving. My daughter was driving. Tez was driving. You just never know who's driving that vehicle if you're not pulling that license. Maybe
they should start taking points off the vehicle. You know what I mean? So if your vehicle loses a certain amount of points, I don't know, the owner of that vehicle loses their license, because then that way whoever the owner of that vehicle is either going to be very cautious of who they let drive the car. They're going to put real pressure on the person driving the car. Like, don't you mess up in my car. Now, I can't lose no more points. They're going to take my license.
True, but then that would create an issue of somebody being penalized, I guess, for something else. But it's an interesting point. And again, you know, the conversation out there with these cameras is really that it's just a money-making opportunity as well. So people have to just really get involved at their local level and bring those types of suggestions. You can do it every week in your local government and get it off your chest and come up with better policy that keeps us safe, in addition to, you know, being able, I guess, for the government to continue to make more money.
All right. Well, thank you, Teslin Figueroa, for joining us this morning.
That's right. And make sure you subscribe to the Straight Shot No Chaser podcast from Teslin Figueroa on the Black Effect iHeartRadio network. And she told y'all earlier, she goes in depth and unpacks a lot of these stories that she tells us, you know, during the week on Front Page News. So go check out the Straight Shot No Chaser podcast with Teslin Figueroa.
Wake that ass up
early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.